So today is all about you all, okay? Um, you know who I am, so I want this to be interactive. I got lots of stuff. I'm going to give you some information about the industry as a whole, what's going on and all that, a little bit about our company, who we are and all that, and then get into a little bit of expectation from our side and your side. So my understanding you all are juniors and seniors. That's correct. Okay, good. So starting to get excited about careers and jobs and things like that. So is there anything on anybody's mind before we get started that's absolutely burning that really is curious? Because if I can answer it, I will answer it. If I can't, I'll tell you. Not yet? Okay. Well, you probably will. So we'll get started. The interesting thing is you all have the world in your hands. You're all interested in IT. IT is in everything. So if you are passionate about fashion or construction or anything like that, you can do IT in that. IT is not just IT anymore. It's in absolutely everything, and we can get into that a little bit more. I see a lot of nods, so we all are already there. Some of my guidance, I guess, a little bit as you all are starting to look for jobs and things like that. Figure out where you want to go in the world. Figure out location. Figure out what you want to do. Like if you're really interested, I was really interested in NASA. But that's okay. Other things did. So where you want to go, where you want to work, what companies or what industries and things, and then start looking there. Start there, and then build around it. And you're going to start doing cover letters and things. There's all kinds of ways to get jobs. Okay, it's not just applying. That's definitely a big way. But but start there to figure out where. And I heard some guys in the hallway coming in. Some people really want to live in a certain city and do certain things, and I'd love to hear that. Start there, and if you get success, great. And if you don't, just keep expanding the circle geographically or industry-wise. Okay. So I'm going to talk of kinds of employment because talking to young people, I know there's been some confusion and all that, and hopefully this will be helpful. There's really three types of employment you could get. The first one would be a corporate employee. So for example, you're really interested in financials and you want to live in the finance. So you apply directly to Equifax when you get a job through an income directly. So you would be a corporate employee of Equifax. Okay. Say you're really interested in financials, you want to be in Atlanta, and you get hired by one of the big consulting firms because they have projects at Equifax. You could be a Deloitte or KPMG, Accenture employee, but you would get your paychecks from Accenture or Deloitte, but you actually would be at projects working with people at Equifax. That's what a consultant or a contractor is. Okay, makes sense. And then the last kind is an independent contractor, which basically means single shingle, you're a lone proprietor. So you have your own company and all that, and you work as yourself and that way. That's going to be really hard. Typically, those are more experienced people that have a history or reputation and things like that. But it's feasible, and you might already be doing it because there's platforms now. Everybody's familiar with Uber, right? Everyone's going to have to order a ride and things like that. Well, those Uber drivers and everything, and you might be one, that's an independent contractor. So those are the three types of kinds of employment. In IT, these are the different kinds of work. So you can see, start where you want to work, and what kind of industry and things, and then it keeps narrowing down to help you figure out what you might have to do. With IT, you're going to do typically one of two things. You're either going to develop new stuff, or there's stuff already developed, and you're going to maintain it and keep it going. That's typically. And then the types of the work that you're doing, you're either gonna produce a product, something tangible like the phone or the laptop or an app or something, or something that's a service. So you're providing, and building services to help other people. Those are the two main types. And then the users of that IP. It's either another company or business. So you hear B2B, that's what that is, business to business, or B2C is business to consumer. So you are, so an iPhone, and all of that that goes on an iPhone, that would be what? It could be new or ongoing, right? Think of that. It's a product, it's a tangible thing, and it's business to consumer, because everybody has one. So who's Tm Floyd and Company? So we're an IT consulting and staffing company. We're just up the hill there, right across the street from the Capitol. We're also actually on that building that Ty showed. We're on the 17th floor. It's cool. My window, I look right at you all every day. And then the other window is the house. We were established in 1976, so we're coming up on our 50th year anniversary next year, which we're really proud and happy about that. And very few companies actually make it that long. We started in healthcare with Blue Cross Blue Shield South Carolina. We're still a customer today for the most of our business, our history has been in healthcare, and a lot of it is physical traffic. We've been working with a dozen and a half or more across the country. We do some state government as well, specifically here in South Carolina. I've been around a long time, so we've worked with a whole number of state agencies.
So just so you can understand, we just had Blue Cross Blue Shield come in as well as companion data. So
good.
okay, so they've seen what Blue Cross Blue Shield does for South Carolina, companion data does for the other 49 states, and what his company does when they can't find someone, then he finds that person as a consultant to come in and work for them to fill a slot for short-term needs or long-term needs, right?
Yeah, actually, those are two of our biggest and most successful plans. I just mentioned Blue Cross. So we have a team, a couple dozen people out there doing a whole bunch of stuff. Same at CDS. They're located here, but they're also in Dallas, Texas, and we actually got an office with them in Dallas, Texas. Doing that. So my example, that's exactly right. So you could be a Blue Cross employee, or you could be a Tm Floyd employee working at Blue Cross. And there's pros and cons for all of that, and we could get into that if you're interested in why, what those are. That's cool. There's actually a third entity called Palmetto GBA. It's all part of that group too. And we, they're right here in Columbia. We work a lot with them too.
Sorry about that.
No, and then you got a bunch of state government agencies coming in here too. Some of them we work with, and or there's 74 state agencies in South Carolina. There's a lot of small ones and all that. We work with probably again a dozen and a half. Doing everything from state driver's license systems to health and human services. Their systems were on the mainframe, and now they're in the process of moving to AWS cloud, and our team is a big part of that. Recently, we've been trying to expand and grow. So we've branched out into manufacturing, which makes a whole lot of sense to in South Carolina, and L manufacturing coming here. So far so good. We're working with Volvo and Michelin, so those are some good names that everybody recognizes. And then you can see the other ones we're doing. We're about 200 consultants. We're nationwide. So we have clients coast to coast, but we're only in the United States. We don't work offshore or outside of the United States with our clients and then all of our consultants. And all of our consultants are employees of Tm Floyd. So we basically that, like I said, so our consultants go and they work with Blue Cross, but they get the paycheck from them, basically, and all the time. So we know we're not going to compete. Well, we do compete with the big boys, but size-wise, we'll never be that. But so our vision is to be the most trusted, and that goes a long way. Typically, when we start working with a company, we work with them for a long time. And because stuff's always changing, especially technology, so we grow with them and all that. And we're the whole SDLC, software development life cycle, everything from strategic planning, the requirements, assessments, to tech support, and software development and testing. This is not meant to be an eye chart, but you'll recognize, if not all of those logos, except the one in the middle, most of them, that's our competition. So IT is the big boys and all that, and then there's middle tier, and then we're part of that. And we work with all realms in the IT services industry, again, across the United States. The types of engagements that we do, this will help you all too as you're looking for jobs and you start talking to companies and things like that. First one's called staff augmentation. That's hourly. So basically, Blue Cross needs a SQL developer, and they're gonna pay our company by the hour. We'll pay you by the hour. That's called staff augmentation. It's hourly. Contract to hire. What they really want a full-time employee to do whatever it is, but they want to test it out, try before you buy. That's what contract to hire is. Direct placement is just that. We've been doing quite a bit of this because there's a lot of people, there's a lot that goes into it and trying to find the right fit. So companies will hire companies like ours to find the right people. So, for example, we just we got a number of opportunities, but if you ever heard of the company Miller, they do political data exchange and they're very high tech and all that. They were looking for a very specific type of IT operations. So they came to us, said, can you find this kind of person? And we work with them and we did. So that's direct hire. And then we do a lot with deliverables. So a company will come and say, we need this developed, this is what it needs to look like. And we work with them on time frames of what that look like. So we do it just like you all do. And they might be a different skill. One of the things that does, we pride ourselves in every company, every organization, every team is going to have a culture. I heard that. Professor Dillon talked about that earlier, I think. And pay attention to that when you're interviewing, talk to people. Make sure it's going to be a fit, and they run the place, and you're going to work with people that you want to work with. And so we take a lot of pride in our culture and all that because we work hard, but we try to have fun. And Tom mentioned it. How many when you go to the William Bryce Saturday night and you play the high cities and all that, and you expect it. You go to the hoop games, right? So how many IT consulting and staffing companies do you think has a hype video? There's one. And you're looking at that company. So I'm so proud of that too, and it's so cool. It's your blood pumping and all that other stuff. So it just gives you an idea. Different companies. Everybody has their own. Any questions about our company? Okay. Oops, sorry.
Do you have any like internship opportunities up
A good straight man. So the answer is, right now, we do not have an internship program. I've been working with Dr. Dillon. We're trying to get a formal one in place, but it's not there yet. But we've started to hire new grads. We never hired new grads before, but we started 2 years ago, a few and all that. And to break this up, corporate, that means you'd be a staff person up on top of the hill, corporate staff. We have different kinds, marketing, the IT related there, and you can read them, recruiting and sales. We are going to be expanding our sales team into probably spring, summer next year. We will be looking at college grads and USC personalities for a lot of different reasons. And that doesn't mean you would be in Columbia the rest of your life, because we are headquartered here, but we're going to want salespeople that are close wanna, I told you, we have clients coast to coast. So we're gonna pick certain geographies and we really wanna build it and drive. The way to do that is with a local presence. So the thinking is, you're gonna be well trained and all that going on at USC. We're gonna add some sales training and some other aspects to it. And once they get portfolio started in some city somewhere.
So even though they don't have an internship, okay, they do have opportunities and jobs that you guys fit perfectly because you know help desk, you know how to do business and analytics, you know how to do programming. Everything that they're looking for a full-time hire, they can hire. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, those ones on the bottom, those are ones we've worked with other clients that they come to us to try to, whether it's on a project or a big or which there, any questions on, that's pretty good. So the way, and stuff constantly changes. So you've got to just pay attention, because our stuff is all on the websites and things like this. And one, I guess, word of caution, just because, so y'all know, I have two princesses that are slightly older than you, and they just went through all of this, and their friends are going through all of it. And then so we can definitely understand the challenges, the stress, and don't give up, because if there's really a place you want to work and all that, and there's a job and it's perfect and you apply, and they even interview you, and you go on 2 or 3 interviews and things like that, and all of a sudden it comes final. Stuff that's happening, we're gonna get into this in a couple minutes, so fast. That job might have been there, and then a week later it's not there. Kind of change your mind, things like that. So don't take all that to be a personal reflection of you. It's just a sign of the time. So you gotta be persistent. Persistence is number one. You gotta do that.
And just last semester, you were looking for AI.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what it's good. So what's the most recent IT transformation? Y'all have lived through it. Actually, it's occurred while you, well, the seniors, it's occurred while you've been on this team. Michigan. Yeah. Right. And yeah. Well, that's what AI has been around. Okay, that's been being worked on. That didn't just appear like that. That's been being worked on for a long time. Okay, but what was the really big thing in the other thing? ChatGPT is what brought it to the forefront, right? Look at that date. Everyone, you think of where you were, November 2022. How many in here were at USC? You were freshmen, right? For the rest of you, that means you were a senior in high school, right? That is the reason this is transformational is because it's already changing everybody's lifestyle, right? Everybody's life, everything. This is the last thing that changed everything. This came out a decade and a half ago or so. This was this is the next one. And you get what Professor Dillon was talking about. So that was released November 2022. 2023, the hottest job on this planet is called a prompt engineer. The hottest job. And do you remember what a prompt engineer? Do you know what a prompt engineer is? Yes, sir.
But they just type in like commands.
Basically, they would not commands, they would ask questions, they would training models, and the whole thing prompt, right? What's a prompt? So they were prompting the computer to figure out the right thing. Everybody and their grandmother wanted prompt engineers. Anybody practically, as long as you could read, you were qualified. 2023, that was less than basically 2 months after this whole transformation started, right? Today, there is no such thing as a prompt engineer. This is how fast stuff is changing. every one of you all, when you get a job, you're gonna be expected to know how to do prompting. You're gonna be expected to ask the train machine. And not only that, did the machine bring back the answer that makes sense? Right? You all already are Googling and asking questions and stuff, and they're like, does that really make sense? Yeah, same thing in the business world. That's how fast, so AI didn't exist, or ChatGPT didn't exist when your senior started. The highest job on the planet in the year after that, before you could graduate from it. That's how fast everything is changing. So it's a great time to be part of it all. But this, I know it's a picture. This is the chairman of NVIDIA. He spoke in January of this year, and he talked about the different phases of AI. Okay, remember, this just got launched in November 2022. So it's not even 3 years old. It'll be 3 years old in 2 more months. Okay, and it started at the bottom, perception, right? And then what that was when the prompting was starting to train the models and things like that. And then generative AI was when the models and the computers started generating information back. And that's when you had to start really, is this correct? And stuff like that. And then agentic AI, that's here now. That's here now. And what's next is physical AI, and that's basically where AI and computers and technology is going to be completely integrated with everything that we're doing, right? And the example he used is self-driving cars. But there's so many other things. That's what is making all of this so exciting. So when we started this morning and said, say you're interested in fashion and retail, right? All this is still going to apply. You think, how's that going to apply to some things and make that for normal? It is. We're using it to make it better, more effective. So it's real exciting for you all because you really are at the forefront of it all. And this is the other part that's really exciting. I don't know if you've all heard about this. They're saying AI or data is the new oil. Does anybody know what that really means? Yes, sir.
It's just a commodity that is constantly being mined and or trapped by giant corporations in order to push out new products.
Well, but yeah, you're on the right path. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody want to build on it? Yeah. What it is when oil was the refining of oil really got affected or started to, and that was in the 1800s and things like that. If you could go way back in your mind, you have like history, and you remember what the world was like then, right? It was working carriage and things like that, right? Well, oil, what happened? Built the combustion engine. Then from the combustion engine, we got automobiles. With automobiles, we got a highway. And with the highway system, we got fast food restaurants, right? And then all of a sudden now, the other towns and cities could be away from waterway. You know, then the railroad. We got these little out of order, but railroad. So again, none of that existed. All of a sudden, we have oil, we learn how to refine it, and we have all these new industries. Well, that's what's happening right now. And it's so exciting for you all because you've never known life without these phones like this guy did. What's so interesting? Yeah. So you guys think differently, you operate differently because that didn't even exist. We were pen and paper back then. There are products being made now, there's companies established. The foundation of what they do is AI. It's AI. So they're, rather than AI being the destination, it's now the starting point. And so there's going to be so many industries and so much new opportunities coming up that nobody can even define what that is. Nobody even knows what that looks like. Any questions? And the interesting thing, y'all, there's not that many jobs that are directly called AI. But what it is what I said earlier, those ones that I had on the board that we do anything, AI is part of all of it. Because that's a lot of people say, well, what AI jobs are there? Well, there's nothing really that specific. Now, that's, if you want to work for NVIDIA or something like that, they're still gonna have stuff like Flash, but there will be real specific AI stuff on it. So just keep that in mind too, is all that. And here's, where he said it, it comes better. The workforce today, it's already here. It's mind-boggling to me about a year or so ago when I first heard it, but it's really true. The workforce today, it's a combination of human labor, which is everybody in this room, but it's also synthetic labor. There's the agentic AI agents. That's real stuff. That's real. So there's agents. One of our clients is a healthcare company outside of San Antonio that now they don't have testers anymore. They develop agents. So this agent, they have a number of agents. All they do is test this part. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They don't get tired. They don't get sick. Nothing. So is it going to eliminate jobs? Yes, it's already happening. There's a lot of customer support and things like that. Some of that is all agentic, using agents, but not necessarily all of it. That you guys are probably familiar with that. But this is a challenge you all are up against, to be honest with you, because entry level jobs, it's targeting a lot of that. But that's why you still have plenty of opportunity, and you just have to be able to communicate well and differentiate. So projects you're doing, the way you're thinking and things like that, and make sure when you are applying and interviewing things that comes out. To tell you how far this has already come, there are systems in place from some of the big boys for HR systems that the HR not only tracks individual employees, it tracks agents, the AI, and it's all part of the HR system. And I mean, even our company, when we get new work and things, the first thing we decide, we need a person for this, employees all technology. That's the first, but then that question didn't even exist. That's sort of, so that's what it makes it even more. Question? Let me go back. We'll switch gears to talk about expectations and things like that. Let's see. Yeah. When you're on a project team here at school, what kind of people do you want on your project? Good. Good. Let's go to the other side. Yeah. Exactly. That's what we want when you're interviewing with a company. That's exactly what we want. We just want people that can sit on the team. We don't want whiners and complainers. We want people that are going to troubleshooters, be able to think, solve problems, and communicate. Those on ownership, take ownership. So you can't. Well, we didn't get it done because Joey didn't do his part. That's part of the whole team. But yeah, it's pretty simple, really. It really just comes down to that, which goes back to the culture part we were talking about. So as you all have started talking to companies and things like that, has anything come up or like any questions about the Because what's happening too, I can tell you this, it used to be technical skills were paramount. So there was a lot of extra testing and things like that. When you graduate from USC, people expect if you graduate in this program in USC, for most jobs, they're gonna assume you got the technical competence. So they're really trying to figure out, can you communicate, can you talk, you have a piece of writing skills, and where you fit in. And with that, I would encourage you to have every single interview. I heard you did do research on companies. Do a little research. That just shows you did, you came prepared, and I have a couple of questions, 3 or 4 questions that are important to you. Not how much money am I going to make, how much time am I going to get off, or something like that. That'll come as part of the whole process. But just so you can engage, are you going to like working there? Are you going to work on projects and things that you want to? Are you going to be using the kinds of technology you want to? Um, If they can't answer that, then you probably don't want to work there. Because the way we've seen it, when we're interviewing, you're interviewing us as much as we're interviewing you. And we feel that. The companies are going to try to put the best forward they should. So your expectations. So what's all on your guys' mind? Like, you're going to go from this classroom to the workplace. Is there anything you really? Okay, well, I'll cover a couple things. The first one I want to cover is the remote versus in person. It used to be everything was in the office. So old people, and I'll include myself in that, the mentality was you have to go to work. Okay, and then obviously the world expanded and got better, and then COVID turned the whole world upside down. And now there's some companies that have performed extremely well with the remote workforce. And you know what we're one. So like my corporate staff, I said, you would have to come in the office because you're at Columbia. But about a quarter or a third of my corporate staff alone is in Columbia. It's everywhere from Memphis to Cleveland to Daytona. So obviously they don't come in every day. But we do have, I have 3 meetings a year, multiple days each time to it there. Anybody comes to Columbia and we meet it. That's not. But where I'm going to go with this is you all are individuals, you can have your own preference and all that. Starting your career, I would highly recommend, if you can, be in person and be on site. Because you, especially most places, the exec teams, the management teams, they're in the office. And that's where you're going to make relationships. You're learning the ropes, you're learning the culture, but you're also learning a lot for your career and how to be a good tech or manager, things like that. And there is no substitute. It doesn't matter how many times I call you on a Teams call, there's just so many other intangibles. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you on that. Now, some companies are 100% remote, and that's fine, and not all of that. But if you do have the option, I highly encourage you. The second thing I'll cover, I get asked this a lot, is I call it the honeymoon period. It's when, like, how long do I have? I'm just a new kid out of college and I went to football game Saturday. That's good. I want you to, everybody here is older than 16 and I assume you all have driver's license. So the day you got your driver's license, started driving on your own, And the first day, we went from an on-ramp, we merged onto an interstate. Do you all remember that? Well, that tractor trailer zooming by you, you were up here with that tractor trailer, weren't you? That tractor- They didn't know you were 16 and you started driving places and all that, unless you had a sticker on the car to. He never saw that, a truck driver never saw it. So you were up here the moment you got that, and the moment you merged. It's not quite that way, but when we hire, especially now, because every team is so lean, everybody works hard. That you're hired as a professional, so everybody knows you graduated, and there's always a grace period and things like that. But you're expected to start contributing, your first week. Like, have ideas, ask questions. You're not going to have the answers. Nobody expects you unless it's a purely technical thing and you're supposed to be coding. Unfortunately. Well, even that actually. Absolutely. A bunch of our clients in that, nobody that we work with codes from scratch anymore. What they do is they use the AI to generate the first set of code. And then the programmers come in from that code. We'll start with that to your paper. But yeah, so it's not like you have a year to figure it all out and things like that. And you're expected to perform right away. And again, with this, is that helpful? Is that helpful? A little bit? And the thing is, that should make you feel good. Actually. And I can tell you this from personal experience and others. Especially if you hit the ground running and all that, we're gonna put our arms around you. We're gonna give you more. We're gonna give you more. And the next thing you know, that's how you're gonna elevate through the ranks. I guarantee you, there's others that aren't doing that. And even if they've been there 3, 4, 5, 20 years, they're not there. So you all can have a real wake up on that. Okay.
Hey, so one thing, just so you're aware, so when you're in my 495 classes, weekly assignment, and I have what's called an initiative assignment. It's where you take the initiative to figure out the problem or the technical know-how and share that with your supervisor. And when you show initiative, that's how you get hired or get promoted, because you took the initiative. You didn't just wait for them to give you the task. And so that's what he's sort of saying is get out, hustle. You're on the interstate now, and figure it out. And everyone else is passing you. You can't just be in the slow lane now. You got to take off. Okay.
Yeah. Because if you don't have, I mean, don't be a bragger. But you gotta help them. I want to end real quick. Everybody here graduated high school, and now they're about to graduate, whether it's this year or next year and all that. And that's a proud moment, and hats off to you. Nothing is easy, for sure. But people, right, your brothers, sisters, friends, on the outside, they look at you and they say, man, you graduated high school, you did really good. Obviously, you went to USC, and you're graduating in May, and you're interviewing for jobs. You got a name, right? The success, it's easy, right? No, it doesn't look anything like that, right? There's so one step forward, 2 steps back, sideways, everything. It's all over the place. And the same is going to be true in your career and even in your initial job hunt before you find a job. And then once you do in your first job, piece of advice, don't quit or leave that job. You know how unhappy you are until you have another job. Because it is a lot harder to get a new job. But yeah, it's not going to be easy. Just like I said, you could interview 2 or 3 times and all that, and all of a sudden that job went away. It's nobody's fault. It's just from that. So To be successful, yeah, just always be yourself. Network is key to getting to know people, know people, and just really like what you do and be passionate about it. If you help others, if you help your manager be successful, it will help you be successful. And not just your manager, but even your teammates and things like that. And that's just the way it is. So, with that, yeah, I hope you learned something. I mean, I've learned a lot. Any final questions or anything? Yes, sir.
In a general, because I know this question could be difficult, in your idea of a career, how would you define success?
Well, I'm in a different part of my life. How I would define success now, would probably be a whole lot different than you would. How do you define it? Like right now, what do you think?
Success to me would be getting a job after college. That's just like an actual starting point. And it's success for my college career. And my corporate career might look different for success. Obviously, my college one, getting a job.
Well, that's good. If you want to know my personal when I was in your seat, it might be very surprising to y'all. So I was a walk-on in track when I was in the. Well, first of all, I was from a small town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Right? So, and I got to grow up in the glory years of the Steelers and Pirates and all that other good stuff. So that's my mentality. Okay? And so then I went to Michigan and I walked on the track team, and believe it or not, I was a triple jumper. And I ended up doing really well. I won the Big Ten and did all kinds of great stuff. And I was graduated in 1987. The Olympics were in Seoul, Korea in 1988. And oh, by the way, I've done an engineering degree and things like that. So I found out the coaches for the University of Texas were the U.S. track and field coaches. So I went to Texas to try to make it for the Olympics. And by the way, since I was in school, I got electrical engineering. I missed going to the Olympic trials for the United States by 3/4 of an inch. I triple jumped 54 3/3. It was me at 54.4. That was like 10th in the world. That's okay. And I always wanted to work for NASA. And I really wanted to work. So I applied to everything, getting the master's, all that was so I could work for NASA. The year I graduated, they wouldn't hire kids to have school anymore. You had to have 13 years. So right away, that success thing, I took about 3 steps backward. So what I did is I'm like, okay, what's the next step? Well, I could work with the military, even though I wasn't going to enlist in the military. So that's why I went to work for Unisys. I became a systems engineer. I'm really dating myself. I worked at was called Over the Horizon Signal Exploitation Systems because the Earth is round. You got to remember, this is in the 1980s. So if something on this side of the Earth couldn't see or even know something on this side of the Earth was there. So these were when satellites and stuff, so it was all bouncing off the satellites. So I took a job and we were putting those systems on Navy ships. And so that's what I did to start my career on that. And I actually thought I was going to be technical for my whole career thing, but that immediately took a sidetrack too. And then I started leading teams. And then this real last thing I'll tell you, that helps us. So at the time, it was a timing thing, and the world wanted to try and start to move some of the military technology into commercial space. So Unisys had this thing to move the DoD stuff into criminal justice. So I immediately learned criminal justice and all that. So kept learning things, and then I immediately started leading teams and one thing after another. So hopefully that's helpful for y'all. But nothing's easy and it's not straightforward. There's a box out, Tm Floyd M&M's. Guys, help yourself. Really enjoyed it. I hope it's helpful for y'all. Good luck today.
Thank you.